Welcome everyone, this is Dina from Mark's Group Live. Happy to be reviewing with you how to get started with Zoho Books. After the video is over, please feel free to email us at support@marksgrouplive.com for any questions you have on this subject or anything else Zoho. Be sure to rate this class as well, helping your fellow Zoho users as well as us to improve the video library. Here are some of the key points we're going to talk about today. First, as you probably are aware, Zoho Books is an accounting software package. Within Zoho Books, you can manage sales, expenses, purchases, and bills. In addition, Zoho Books can be linked to your bank or credit card accounts, and you can also use it to track billable time that then you can invoice to your customers. Let's take a look in Zoho now, in Zoho Books right now, and I can show you a little bit more information. When you first come into Zoho Books, you're going to come onto this dashboard. And as you scroll down, you can see that there are a number of different dashboards within here. And as you may or may not know, dashboards are always related to underlying reports. So if you click on an item here, you can get to an underlying report, which is dynamic, and you can always change the time periods, get more information, etc. So within this dashboard, the first two items are the receivables and the payables. And within each of these, you can see that under receivables, you can show the total receivables. And with the yellow line, you can see that everything is overdue here. If we had a current receivable balance, it would show up here. And then overdue, you can click on the down arrow and get a breakdown by time frame of what's overdue. Similar on the payables as well. You can click on the bar, it could show you how much is overdue. And again, you can click on the overdue and get that timeline. After receivables and payables, we come to cash flow, which is the money in and out of the company. And you can see this one right now, we're under last 12 months. You can click on each month and get a cash flow statement for that month. Or you can just click on the dots within, or just hover over the dots in the report, and you can see the opening balance, the incoming, outgoing, and the ending balance. You get a lot of information here in the dashboard. You can also click the down arrow, and you can do this fiscal year. You can go back to the last 12 months. You can do whatever time frame you would like to do. Next, we have income and expenses. And again, here you can hover over the arrows and you'll get, on the bars, and you will get what your income is, what your expenses are, and it would show you by the month what, which one is higher. And you can do this on an accrual basis or on a cash basis. And again, you have total income, total expenses. You can change the time frame here as well. You can also have a highlight of your top expenses. We don't have specific expenses in here to show you. Let me see if I do this quarter in terms of top expenses. And these are ones that you've chosen to be your top expenses. Next, we have projects. And what projects is this is where you have certain projects related to your customers, and you can track the hours that you have to them, what's been billed or unbilled. And then you can click in here and see what hours have been logged versus the budget. And you can see some other information as well for different projects. And then on the right of that, you have banking credit card information. And this is where if you had any feeds in here already, you'd be able to see some information on those banking credit card accounts. And you can always click on the add bank account here to add in information, but I'll show you that in a different area as well. So this is a dashboard. And then on the left, you have dashboard, which is highlighted in blue. And then you have other modules listed below. And we're going to just take a quick look through each of these. So the first one is contacts. And the contacts are the people you can have. If you go to the drop down here for customers, you can show customers, you can show vendors, you can show all contacts. And if you'll notice in the all contacts, under the plus new, you'll see the columns are receivables and payables. But if we were to go to customers, you would only see receivables, you wouldn't see payables. And if you go to vendors, you would see payables. And you have all different options of what default filters are. And then you can always click your own and create your own view as well. And now if you wanted to add a new contact, you have several options. You can do it right from the menu bar when you have the plus sign next to contacts, or you can go to the plus new here and add one as well. And I'll go to customers, plus new. Because I'm in the customer, this went to view, it went straight to customer. You'd fill in the right information and any details that you'd want. I'm going to cancel out of this. If you have price lists linked to them, you can put them in here, and we'll get to that in a little while. And then let's just go quickly into a customer. And this is where you can see you have a lot of information on the right. You have an overview. In the gray, you have basic information about the customer, their email address, billing address, any comments, currency, and then the contacts. And you can always add a contact from here, so it would come under the customer. And on the right side, you have your income and expenses. You have a timeline of activities that you've had with this customer. You have the unused credits, outstanding receivables, payment due on receipt, etc. You can always add a new transaction here. You can go straight to an invoice. And if you do go to these transactions from the contact, then the basic contact information would automatically be populated. Next, we have comments if you needed a comment just for internal use. Sales will show you invoices, customer payments, estimates, etc., all the sales activity related to this customer. Mails would show your emails. You can show system emails or written history. Then you have statements. Here's a statement of accounts. You can change the timelines on these. You can filter for all or outstanding. You can send this as an email directly within Zoho Books, or you can print it or create a PDF. So this is the contacts. Then if we move over to items, you can see there's three options: items, price list, and inventory. Items is similar to products in Zoho CRM. And as you can see, we have a list of the items here. If you click on the down arrow, you can see which are active, different information, which ones are in Zoho CRM, which ones are purchases versus which are sales, which are products you're selling versus you're buying. You can add a new item here. And if you do that, that's where you could see if it's a good or service. If it is a service, you can get rid of purchase information since you're not going to be using that information. You can add the units, everything else. Cancel out of this. And then you also have item preferences. You can make customizations to either the fields, general, the decimal points, etc. You can create new buttons. Next, you have price lists. And price lists are related to if you have discounts or special price lists for the same products for different customers. You can put all this in here, and then you can always associate this with certain customers as well. But this is one example of a price list. If we get out of this, you can also create a new price list, and you have that information here. Finally, under items, you have inventory adjustments. If you have physical products and they're not matching in inventory, you can mark your adjustments here as well. The next section is banking, and this is similar to what we saw in the dashboard for the cash flow, because right now we're in the cash in hand. You can go, choose which account. You can choose, is it last 12 months? Is it last 30 days? Etc. The account details are here, the amount that you have recorded. And then this is also where you can click to add a bank account or credit card. There are some more popular banks or credit cards that are here. You can click on one. It'll show you the URL. You can enter in your information, and then you can set this account up. And if not, you can always enter the account manually. Next is sales. Within the sales, you have estimates, retainer invoices, sales orders, invoices, payments received, recurring invoices, and credit notes. And this is really tracking everything related to the sales. So if it starts with an estimate, this is where you can go to see your estimates or to create a new one. As you can see on the right, we have a template, which is showing what we can send to the customer. And at the top part on the right side, you can edit this, you can send it, you can print it, you can email it, you can convert it to an invoice if you get the go-ahead, so you don't have to go and enter everything in every phase. And then you can send it. You can have a few different options here. And if you were to create a new one, you would select the customer. Here, if you didn't go create the estimate through the contact module, you can have an automatic estimate number, and you can set different rules around that with the settings button. You fill in the estimate date, and then you just start clicking in here and you add your products. You can go right in and change this to 10 if you want to, and then the amounts would change. And then if I was to add another product, you can see that the subtotal and all that updates as well. You can add some notes in here, etc. You can save and send. You can do a number of different things on this estimate. After estimates come retainer invoices if you're working with a customer on a retainer basis. And here you can see when you click that it looks similar to the invoice or the estimate, but it's a retainer invoice and it works pretty similar. Next, you have sales orders. We don't have a sales order in here, but what's valuable to see here is the life cycle of a sales order. So you can see a sales order will get created from either a customer request or an accepted estimate. And then that gets confirmed as a sales order. And if you don't have to order anything, it goes straight to an invoice and you get paid. If anything needs to be ordered based on inventory, you can then create a purchase order. And once the goods are received, you can then convert the sales order to an invoice. And if we wanted to create the sales order, it would look again similar to the way it did on the estimate, and you'd add in your information, etc. Next, we have invoices, and these work similar. The sales order gets converted into an invoice, or the estimate can as well. And again, this has a similar format, which you can always change this template. You can mark it as sent, or you can send this. You can do comments in history and see if it was modified. Payments, you can see what payments you've received. From here, you can record your payments directly, but you have to do it once it's sent. This one's still in draft form. And then after invoices comes payments received, and this is where you would track payments that you've received here and tie them to a customer. If I was to go into new, you would select a customer. We know we have something for Central Perk. It would tell you what item, this is a retainer, unpaid invoices, etc. So you can pick from that. Next is recurring invoices, and these would be if you set this up to automatically send invoices out to a customer, and these would look similar as well. And then finally, you have credit notes. And the credit notes would come into play if you had a product return or an order canceled, as you can see in the life cycle. And then that would result in either a refund or a credit that can be applied to future invoices. After the sales section, we have the purchase section. And this works similarly to the sales section, except instead of sales invoices or sales, you're going to have expenses. You can track individual expenses here. You can convert those expenses into an invoice. You can make them recurring. If you create a new expense, you would decide which expense account it's related to, which account it's being paid through, and then who the vendor is, the customer name, if you're, that it's tied to, etc. And then besides expenses, you can record mileage or bulk add expenses through just doing a lot at one time to make it easier. Leave this page. Recurring expenses, similar to recurring sales orders, or you can set up for an automatic recurring expense that you can charge and get paid for. Purchase orders, you have inventory you need to purchase on. You would create a purchase order. There's a template for that. Still, all of these look somewhat similar. And you can add the history along this as well. You can email this. When you create a new one here, it's related to a vendor. And then you would add the items in similar to before. Then you have bills, and these are the bills that you need to make payment on. You can add them in. This one's overdue. You could see when it's created, all of that, and record the payments on these as well. Payments made, you can track your payments that are made as well. Recurring bills, you could see from the life cycle, if you have routine purchases, you can set up a recurring bill profile, and that way you don't have to manually do this each time. And then you have vendor credits. If you have products that is returned or canceled, you can record vendor credits and then either apply it to future bills or record a refund. So that's a purchase section. Next, we have the time tracking. And time tracking, what you first do here is you set up a project. And then once you set up a project, you have the rates per hour, how you're going to bill. Is it based on project hours or something else, the budget type, and then you have the users that are going to be working in this project. And what you see here under role, you have someone who's an admin as one of the roles, and then the other one you can see is staff timesheet only. So you can set users up to only be able to go in and enter their timesheets. And then you can either log time directly from the project over here, or you can go to timesheet, go to the project, and then you can do the same here. It looks similar. One of the features when you log time is you can actually, if you don't want to write it down, you can start a timer, and then you will have a timer going, and then you can stop that timer when you want as well. And now if we were to, let me cancel out of this. If you go into timesheet, you can see we have a timer going on here. And then when you were done with what the task is you're doing, you can click stop. And then if this had been over a minute, you would have seen the time being billed here, showing up here, not necessarily that it be billed. And from here, you can see the billing status, what you may still have to bill. You have a drop down, you can add or create different. Here, when you go to unbilled, you can make this billable, you can change it. And that's the time tracking. And then finally, we have accountant, which is where you can set up manual journals, currency adjustments, your chart of accounts, and we'll have other videos that go into more depth on this. And this way you have everything set up. And then let's say you're done with your fiscal year, your books are done, you don't want anyone to make any more changes. You can lock transactions so that you can't add or modify before or after a certain date. And then finally, we have reports. And as you can see, we have a large number of reports here covering all the different options that you may need. You can click into a report, and then you can see the report. You can schedule the report. You can export it. You can customize it as well based on different information. So that's an overview of Zoho Books. So if we go back to what our key takeaways were, Zoho Books is an accounting software package. And within Zoho Books, as I just showed you, you can manage your sales, expenses, purchases, and bills. In addition, you can link Zoho Books to your bank account and also use it to track billable time on projects that you create. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and please check out our library for other training videos like this one. If you have any suggestions for other classes or questions about Zoho, please email us at support@marksgrouplive.com. Thank you for watching.